Chapter 3. The one who shouldn't shouted at Zil was the male knight who had come along with the princess. He had slightly dark silver hair along the shoulders. He wore shiny silver armor and looked like the princess' guardian knight. Zil fell silent as the knight shouted at him. No one knew what his expression was behind the mask. Zeal chose to remain silent and didn't respond, which made the male knight even angrier. Why are you just silent? Are you muttering? Are you mute? The male knight shouted louder, and his hands gripped the hilt of his sword, as if ready to slash at Zeal at any moment. Zeal didn't feel anything, even after hearing his provocation, but it made Princess Elise angry. Why are you shouting like that, Theodore? Was the one who asked him to take off his mask. Why do you think he was being rude to me? Princess Elise scolded the male knight. The male knight's name was Theodore Blance. He was assigned to be a guardian knight for the princess. I apologize, Princess Elise. I thought that the servant was being rude to you, so I couldn't hold back my anger. Theodore answered fearfully, and Princess Elise's words, retreat. Princess Elise said to Theodore, and the male knight immediately retreated and stood guard behind the princess. So Elise, what are you doing this time? The long silver-haired girl asked the Princess Elise. I didn't do anything, sis. I just saw him standing alone in the corner wearing a mask, so I was curious. Princess Elise answered the silver-haired girl honestly. So you asked him to take off his mask? The silver-haired girl asked again in a severe tone. Yes. Princess Elise chuckled in response. The silver-haired girl could only massage her forehead after hearing Princess Elise answer. Then she looked at Zeal. I apologize for what my sister had done. I'm the first princess of the Argent Kingdom, and my name is Aisha Argent. I'm glad to be your acquaintance, Princess Aisha. Pinched the hem of her dress as Princess Elise did her movement looked much more elegant than her younger sister had shown. Before, she was polite to Zeal despite knowing that he was just a young servant. You don't need to think about it, Her Highness Princess Aisha. My name is Zeal Grinsell. I'm a servant to attend this event. I feel honored to be your acquaintance. Zeal bowed his head and did the same in his face, Princess Elise. For a young maid, your manners seem very well trained and refined. Princess Aisha smiled, praised Zeal. It made the other door who heard it displeased. I'm honored to receive such a compliment from Her Highness Princess Aisha. Zeal lowered his head again and did not look directly at Princess Aisha's face. But why are you wearing a mask? Won't you be under suspicion if you wear something like that? Princess Aisha tilted her head in confusion and looked at Zeal's face. I wear this mask to cover my burn marks from the people, so as not to frighten and disgust them. Your Highness, the princess. Zeal answered half truth and half lie. Please, don't be so polite. May I see your face behind the mask? Elise will constantly whine if she doesn't get what she wanted. I apologized for her character, Princess Aisha asked. Zeal with a complicated face. He felt bad asking that from Zeal. Yes, Princess Aisha, but you might be scared and disgusted when you see it. Zeal would only agree, as it was difficult to refuse a request from my royal family. Zeal had previously thought about whether he should take off his mask or not, but he agreed to a request in the end. The Princess Aisha smiled and wanted to say something, but the Princess Alice cut her off first. I won't be afraid and disgusted by something like that. Is that right, sis? Princess Alice said confidently. Yeah, she is not a girl who is afraid of such a thing. Princess Aisha chuckled and agreed. Seal had no choice but to take off his mask after seeing the princess' sister smile. Excuse me, Zeal took off his mask and saw the princess' sister silent. He waited for them to say something. Just as Zeal was about to ask about their opinion, he heard a girl voice, no less melodic than the Princess Aisha's. Are the marks on your face really from burning? The one who spoke was golden-haired girl who came with the Princess Aisha. She was wearing a white dress that looked beautiful against her flawless skin. Yes, answered Zeal currently. But the marking on your face looks similar to a magic circle at a glance. Isn't that right, Aisha? The golden-haired girl fetched trains after seeing Zeal's face. Yes, if you look closely, it's similar to a magic circle, but not very clear. Princess Aisha agreed with her. Isn't that right? I've got to introduce myself. I'm the first princess of the Aurelia Kingdom. My name is Freya Aurelia. I'm pleased to meet you, Princess Freya, introduced herself elegantly. My name is Zeal Grizel, and as I said to Princess Aisha, I am just a young servant. I am honored to be acquainted with you. Her Highness Princess Freya. Zeal introduced himself to Princess Freya politely. As I said before, these marks on my face are burnt. This is the result of my carelessness during my maid training. Zeal added his words and pointed at his face. Can he be my servant, sis? Princess Alice looked at Princess Aisha and made an unexpected request. Princess Aisha was silent for a while and did not immediately agree to her request. After a long period of thought, she finally opened her mouth. Fine, but we have to test his abilities first. How? Are you willing to do it, Zeal? Princess Aisha agreed to Princess Alice's request on one condition. Her answer made the young servant envious of Zeal, but they didn't dare to voice their objection. Zeal was silent for a moment before answering Princess Aisha. Of course, it is an honor for me to serve you, Princess Alice. Then please, wait at your table. Zeal accepted Princess Aisha's terms and invited them to their table. Zeal invited the princess to sit in their seats politely. After that, he made tea in front of the princesses. His actions were truly skillful and refined. Then Zeal served them the tea he had made. The princesses started tasting the tea she made and opened her eyes wide. Delicious. The tea he made is amazing. This is the first time I tasted tea like this. The aroma and the taste are amazing. Princess Aisha smiled, praising Zeal. You're right, Aisha. This tea is amazing. Even in Aurelia Kingdom, I've never tasted a tea like this. Princess Freya agreed with the princess Aisha's words. You're right, says So Zeal can be my servant, right? Princess Alice looked at Princess Aisha expectantly. Of course, Princess Aisha smiled and wanted to agree to her sister's request, but her words were cut off by a voice from behind her. Wait for a minute, Princess? Accepting such a suspicious person to be Princess Alice's servant is very dangerous. Theodore slowly entered into the conversation of the two princesses. What are you saying? Do I have the right to decide what is and isn't for Alice and me? Princess Ayesha was displeased that Theodore suddenly cut her off. That's not what I meant, Princess. But we have to be careful of suspicious people. Theodore answered Princess Ayesha politely. How can you say he is suspicious? I already know about his origins. The royal butler raised Zeal. I don't need your opinion on this matter. This is my decision. Princess Aisha was annoyed by Theodore's attitude, but Theodore still didn't want to accept Princess Aisha's decision. Enough, dear. This is my decision. I don't want to hear it again. Princess Aisha did not let Theodore continue his speech. Yay, Guff. From now on, you will be my butler, Zeal. Please take good care of me in the future. Princess Alice saw that happily before finally correcting her attitude. Zeal had no other choice but accept it after seeing Princess Alice smiling widely like that. After all, this was a request from the royal family. I am honored to serve you, Princess Alice. Zeal put his hand on his chest and bowed to Princess Alice. Zeal couldn't help but sigh after imagining what will happen in the future. His new life as a princess butler is about to begin. Chapter 4. Zeal slowly opened his eyes and woke up from his sleep. What he first saw was a ceiling that looked foreign to him. He still wasn't used to his new room, even though it had to be a week since he had become the butler from the Princess Alice. During Zeal's work as a butler for Princess Alice, he didn't meet many people other than the Princess Alice. Princess Aisha, one of the maids who served her, and the Princess Aisha's guardian knight. He never even met the king and queen. It was because the king and queen were too busy dealing with matters of the Argent Kingdom, and they were currently on a political visit to another kingdom. Princess Freya had returned to the Aurelia Kingdom after their servant's selection ended, but it looks like he will come again on the Princess Aisha's birthday next month. It's time to do my job, he muttered softly, and he got out of bed and intended to take a shower. The only job he had to do was get up early, bring breakfast from the palace chef to Princess Alice, and prepare everything she needed. The most challenging thing was to wake Princess Alice from her sleep after Zeal neatly dressed his butler's uniform. He walked from his room towards Princess Alice's room. Accidentally, he ran into someone he knew while walking down the castle corridor. His servants, after serving Princess Alice, come to the garden behind the castle and spare with me. This time you have to accept it, otherwise I'll be bothering you all the time. Theodore said coldly to Zeal. She is a princess, Aisha's guardian knight, and seems to hate Zeal. Theodore often invited him to spare, but Zeal always refuses. Theodore walked again and left Zeal without waiting for his answer. Zeal had recently learned that Theodore was a swordman, At the intermediate night level, he has also Princess Aisha's childhood friends. He has affection for the Princess Aisha and senses the threat from Zeal that suddenly appears. Theodore was afraid that Zeal would take his beloved princess. Troublesome man, Zeal decidedly heavenly. Zeal quickly headed to Princess Alice's room. After he reached Princess Alice's room, Zeal knocked 3 times. But there was no answer from inside. Princess, are you awake? It's noon, and you need to get up and have breakfast. If there is still no answer, I apologize for my impudence for entering your room without permission. Zeal called out to Princess Alice from the front of her room. Zeal slowly opened the door to Princess Alice's room. He saw Princess Alice still sleeping soundly in her bed in her cute nightgown. Then Zeal opened the curtains so the sunlight could enter the room and shine on the Princess Alice's face. Sis, sob, sob. Princess Alice mumbled while tightly hugging her pillow. Zeal saw tears running down her cute face. He did not know what dream causes the 10-year-old girl to cry. What is she dreaming about? Could it be? Zeal muttered under the breath. Do not be heard by the Princess Alice. Then Zeal shook his head to shake off what he just thought, and of that, he had nothing to do with him. The most important thing now was to wake this little princess. Princess, please wake up. It's already noon. If you don't wake up, then Princess Aisha will wake you up. Zeal once again woke Princess Alice from her slumber. No, don't call my sister. You're so mean, Zeal. After hearing what Zeal had said, Princess Alice quickly got up from her bed and shouted. Finally, Princess Alice got up from her bed and threw her pillow at him, but Zeal caught it easily. Princess Alice didn't notice that the traces of her tears were still on her face. Zeal only glanced at her briefly and ignored her. You're better take a shower and change clothes, Princess, because Aisha is waiting for you in the dining hall. The room. You know she won't eat until you come, right? Zeal remembered the Princess Alice. I understand. I'm going to take a shower and change clothes. You can leave now, Princess Alice said shyly, and her cheeks slightly blushed. Okay, I'll go and wait for you in the dining room, Princess. Zeal came out of the Princess Alice's room and closed the door slightly, closely. He rushed to the dining room where Princess Aisha was already waiting. Zeal immediately received a fierce glass full of hostility upon arriving at the dining room. That person was Theodore, Princess Aisha's guardian knight. Zeal ignored his gaze and walked towards Princess Aisha, sitting and waiting in front of the dining table. Before Zeal could open his mouth, Princess Aisha spoke first. Is Alice awake, Zeal? Princess Aisha asked softly. Princess Alice was awake, and she was taking a shower when I left her room. Princess Aisha, Zeal lowered his head to Princess Aisha and answered her question. She is hard to wake up as usual, isn't she? Princess Aisha smiled at Zeal, not far from the dining table. Theodore was mesmerized by that smile, but Zeal was indifferent to it. It has become part of my duty, Princess Aisha, Zeal said flatly. You're too stiff, Zeal. Oh, I hear that you'll be accompanying Tia to a sparring after breakfast. Is that right? Princess Aisha suddenly remembered something and asked Zeal. Zeal glanced at Theodore, while standing not far from him. He could only sigh in his heart before he answered Princess Aisha's question. That's right, Princess Aisha. This morning, the Guardian Knight Theodore asked me to accompany him to sparring. He said he had no problem with my mediocre swordsmanship. Seal explained it briefly. Is that so? Please don't get hurt. If you get hurt, Alice will be mad at me. Princess Aisha said wearily. You don't have to worry, Princess. This is just a sparring, and I won't be using my full strength. Theodore responds arguingly to Princess Aisha's words. This made Princess Aisha even more worried. Thank you for your generosity, Zeal. Lowered his head to Theodore. Good morning, sis. Let's hurry up and eat. I'm already hungry. Princess Alice greatly. Princess Aisha cheerfully. The little princess finally came after the two princesses sat on their chairs and started eating the breakfast. Zeal made tea and prepared desserts. When they're finished eating, Zeal would serve it to them. After the princess sisters finished their breakfast and dessert, went to the garden behind the castle. Princess Aisha and Princess Alice walked in front while chatting happily. Zeal and Theodore walked behind them. Zeal would see Theodore's evil smile next to him.